Hello and welcome viewers to an action-packed episode of BRM TV. Coming up, Phil Parker chats with owner of Waltham Wharf, Steve Bell, about his layout from this issue, and I travel to Great Eastern Models in Norwich for its DCC demonstration day. First though, join us on a travel through time back to the 1950s in the Cotswolds for a closer look at Wickwar and N-gauge layout from this issue of BRM.
I'm Noel Weaver. I'm one of the members of the N-gauge group at Farnham District Model Railway Club. We built this layout Wickwar. I did lots of the work on the artwork for it. It is a completely separate removable backseam, which means we don't have a join in it, which is fantastic. It rolls up. It's on 1mm Foamex, which is quite stiff, but it will roll up and we can put it in a garden bin bag for transport. It was done from photographs taken from this side of the valley, moving along, and then stitched together in Photoshop, and a little bit of stretching needed in places so that it actually matched the layout. And we recently increased it by about a foot, so it goes right the way to the top, and that's made a huge difference because it's now completely enclosed, and I think people's view is concentrated on the layout. We obviously got the photographs from the time. There are lots of them taken from the station platform. There are not many taken from other angles. Aerial photographs, typically around the late 40s, were very useful for some things. We're also helped by the fact that a lot of these buildings are still there. The hotel, the brewery, the storage was cider. So those were okay. We were very lucky. We looked on eBay and found somebody selling a postcard of the signal box, which was the only close-up we'd ever found of that. Yet there are some one or two bits like the goods yard. We don't have a good shot of the goods yard. It's one distant aerial photograph, so we'd love to find a better one. But also when we were at the brewery, we got a lot of local people coming who'd lived around here and told us extra things, and the local council helped. And most of all, the brewery itself produced a lot of plans from the 50s when they were digging through. They found them all, said, "Is this any use?" The baseboards are all built out of a layer of styrofoam with lightweight ply glued on either side, and then in between it's simply foam which has been sculpted to the right shape. Again, it's styrofoam, which is a very strong foam, and then we've used sculptor mould, which is a plaster paper mache mix which sticks onto the foam on top to form a hard surface and painted over. And the places where we've got the track actually have ply underneath. We've got 4 cameras on the way out. There are actually 2 hidden in the goods shed, one at each end. There's another one hidden in a bush down there, which is one of the nicest shots because it shows the embankment. There's another one in the tunnel. And we have a little panel on the front which allows us to select which of those we want. In addition, there's one at each end of the fiddle yard, so that the operator, if there's something seems to be going wrong, can get a view of what's going on at the other end of the fiddle yard. The mixture of DC and DCC is just simply that we have the 2 lines are pretty well independent, and we can run either line as DC or DCC. We happen to have people in the club with DC locos and some with DCC, so we've done it each way. The main, we've run a lot of Merg electronics and train-on-track detectors, particularly in the fiddle yard. So on the fiddle yard, when we take a train out of a line, as soon as that's gone out, the train behind moves up, and then the one behind that and one behind that. So in the fiddle yard behind, we can get 4 or 5 trains in each row, which gives an enormous number of trains in a small amount. The location with this road in the front was ideal for a car system. It's just a wire buried just below the surface and then painted over, so you can't really see the wire. We've had a couple of bits with problems where it just have to be just right at the surface, otherwise it won't track. The vehicles are very sensitive, so they get too much fluff on and things. You've got to be careful. We've got it working reasonably reliably now. We've also now used a couple of Tomitech mechanisms, which are bigger, but they will only fit in the buses. The Farrow ones are nice because we can make them very small, particularly replace the rechargeable with a little button cell. And it does add another dimension to the layout, having the vehicles moving. Very pleased here to have won the Andy Calvert Cup, and we'll be out again. We've got an invite to Ali Pally in end of March this year, so that's another opportunity of seeing the layout.
If you'd like to see Wickwar in person, book your tickets to this unmissable event at worldofrailways.co.uk. We'll see you there. Once a year, Great Eastern Models of Norwich is host to a number of special modelling days, and I was invited to its DCC day. From layouts to manufacturers and demonstrations, Anne Martin and the team had been very busy, and I was keen to find out more.
Hi Anne.
Hello Howard.
Pleased to meet you again. Well, fantastic display you've put on as usual at the shop.
Thank you very much.
But this time it's DCC and not scenery. So how's that going?
Well, what we've decided to do is do a digital day to explain to people the difference between digital and analogue. Because we're busy in the shop all week, people keep saying, what is the advantage of digital? So we've invited all the manufacturers, a lot of local clubs, and we've got some special offers to explain to people why they should go digital.
Tremendous bit of organisation. So we've got Bachmann here today, we've got Hornby here today, we've got Train Tech, we've got layouts all around on display, we've got Coastal DCC. How's it going?
It's absolutely fabulous. We've been incredibly busy and we've had such a wonderful reception from everybody. We're so grateful for everybody who's come to support us today, both helping us organise it and the visitors who've come as well.
So of the many layouts that are here today at Great Eastern Models, one of which is Carrow Lane, and I'm here with the owner Stephen. Hi Stephen.
Hi.
So thanks for showing us the layouts just before, but I want to ask for the viewers here who are watching this at home, how have you found DCC? Because you're fairly new to it, aren't you? It's your second layout, I think?
This is my second exhibition DCC layout, and my first one was again DCC, and leapt straight into the deep end with controllers and how they work and all the different abilities you can use. My first one was a shunting layout, so you didn't have the ability to leave trains running, and I wanted to go to DCC because it gives you the option to have things like sound and various controls that you can do there.
Absolutely, yeah. So Engage, have you always been an Engage modeller?
I started off as everyone does in 00, but then when I got into serious modelling and looking at exhibitions, I went to Engage because the quality of it is just as good. You can get so much more in a small space compared to 00.
So essentially Metcalfe kits that you've combined into a
so there's Metcalfe kits that I've combined into the loading dock, and I've used spare parts of the kits which I haven't used to build other sheds such as the Pickfords at the front there.
So there you go, really achievable, nice compact Engage layout with a nice theme about some local history. Okay, so one of the layouts that we've seen here at Great Eastern is Ruffles Road, and I'm here with its owner and some of your friends that have helped collaborate on the project.
That's right, yeah, we're all good friends. We used to volunteer together at the Combe Valley Railway.
DCC, so is this one of your first layouts that you built, and how have you felt DCC has improved the experience?
This is my first go at an exhibition layout. It's my second DCC layout. I wouldn't use anything other than DCC. It's not as difficult as what people think it is, but you know, you've got so much stuff you can do with DCC. All the signals are interlocked together with the point action.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
So how have you done that? What are you using for that?
Well, what we're doing, we've got feedback sensors in here, and we also got cold weight point motors. Okay. And we're using train controller gold, isn't it? Train controller gold.
Right. So you're operating it from the laptop?
It can be operated via the Digitrax controller, like the traditional way.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Or we can select a route on the computer, or we can just highlight one of the points and we can change it manually that way.
Okay. So if you wanted to, you could in theory, I'm guessing, create a sequence that's entirely automated by the laptop and just sit back and let it do its thing if you wanted to talk to the public.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's pretty impressive. So how have you found the DCC sound aspect? Because what we've done here is we've turned off all of the sound on the locomotives, but as soon as you came in the room, it was one of the first layouts that I came to look at, because obviously you've got that audio, haven't you? What sort of chips are you using in your
okay, the majority of the chips are Lego Man Biffo chips with upgraded speakers fitted by myself. I mean, sound gives the atmosphere to the layout. Some people don't like it, some people do, but I find that's one of the biggest things, is listening to the different locos, because all sound different, all got different horns, different departures.
Absolutely. So station lighting, again, is that via a decoder, or is that permanently on? Or
that is on via an ESU decoder. Yeah. So they can be switched off independently if you wanted to.
Okay.
That's for all the lighting. The lighting inside the garage, and obviously the pit lighting inside the shed as well.
So there's a lot of, I guess if we dimmed the lights in the room, there would be a lot more.
It would highlight more, yeah.
Right, okay. So I have to ask, where does Ruffles Road live at home?
It lives in Suffolk, in my conservatory.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And what does the wife think of it?
She just accepts it.
Was built by a group of enthusiasts who'd gathered to help out at the Colne Valley Railway. It was a first attempt to build a DCC layout and made the most of the technology by using feedback sensors from the points to control the signals. Using software on a laptop to operate the layout made it cutting edge, and it could also be operated via a Digitrax controller.
So walk into any of your local model shops and you're bound to see a large selection of products from Hornby. And I'm joined here with Simon Kohler at the Great Eastern Models event, and Simon's going to demonstrate the sort of like a quick overview of the range from Hornby and how it can enhance your layout with DCC. So Simon.
Yeah, Hornby has been involved with DCC actually since the 70s in one form or another. We introduced 01, which is the original digital
big daddy
system. That's the one. And then we had a quiet period, and then must be getting on for nearly 10 years ago. We moved back into digital because obviously with the way things digital is moving then and has leapt forward in leaps and bounds since then. We, obviously being the company we are, we need to be involved in that. So we introduced a couple of units first of all. One was the Select, which is your basic entry level controller. Yeah. And we included that in a couple of sets, train sets. Those sets or similar sets are still available. And they're designed so it shows to a point what digital is all about. So one of the sets has two locomotives in it, so you can run them independent of each other, which is really, I feel, is the real benefit of
having DCC. Yeah,
DCC.
Absolutely.
We then introduced the Elite, which is has the capabilities, a lot more functions, twin controls, you can recode your decoders, etc. So, and you can analyse them as well. So, for example, if you were to buy a loco, you didn't know what number it was, you put it on your test track, and it will tell you the numbers.
Right, yeah.
So it's that sort of thing. It takes that a little bit further. But of course, since all these introductions, things again have moved on.
Yeah.
One of the things that we introduced early on, certainly where the Elite is concerned, is a USB port. Because I always felt that, I'm certainly not clever, I'm not clairvoyant, but I always felt that with what's going on, certainly in the music industry, the USB is going to be useful, and as it happened, it was. There was a very clever man who was able to connect the USB up to the Elite and then collect it to a computer, which gave us Railmaster control.
Right, so this is the software that allows you to design your layout on your laptop and operate whatever you want via your laptop.
And it's all on your computer screen. So instead of pressing buttons and turning knobs, it's all on your screen. So if you've got a touch screen, it's all hit that button, slide it and so on.
There will, however, I feel, be some people at home watching this and thinking, well, my day job's in front of a laptop or a computer screen. What are the advantages?
Really what you want from this too. You can just use your normal select, just the starter unit, and that really is fine if that's what you want. If you want to go a little bit further, you want to start adding sound, you want to start operating electrical accessories, changing your points and so on, it becomes a lot easier to do that on a screen rather than pressing buttons. So if you can imagine you have a two-tone horn. Now, most two-tone horns require two dabs of two functions. On a PC, on using the Railmaster software, it is one function.
So it combines those two functions into one.
So and it's all on the screen. So as your train's going around, you want to change your point, you can just touch it, points will change and so on. You've also got other features with that. You're able to program a circuit, so you can actually run a program of train movements if you wish. So that's if you want to take it that little bit further. With model railways, because it is so multifaceted, what do you want from it? What do you want to do? At the end of the day, we're doing all this because it's fun. A hobby is meant to be fun, it's enjoyable, etc. So you get out of it really what do you want to put in? What do I want to do? And then, once you've decided, you can then take that step.
So the Hornby ethos at the moment is to have something for everyone. You've got the budget entry model, which we've discussed. You've got the intermediate/advanced model. And if you want to push things out, you can then start controlling things from your computer. But one of the successes that Hornby has had recently is with TTS sound. And I believe you've got some vans that are out heading to retailers currently. Perhaps we could take a look at these. So
what happened with TTS sound is we had a meeting and I said, look, it cannot be beyond the wit of man to be able to produce a sound decoder that is less than £100. If that's really what they were. And that added £100 to a low cut. It's a lot of money.
So it's a big increase.
You know, these days it's over 50%.
Yeah.
So internally we developed the TTS decoder. Now it is, a £40 decoder. It won't have all the bells and whistles, if you like, that £100-odd one. But for the average guy,
it's got pretty much everything.
It's got everything you need. I mean,
so this is.
So if you look at taking the sound decoder of a loco, using the same sort of philosophy, but saying, well, it doesn't have to just be steam or a diesel sound or whatever.
Which is traditional,
It can be ambient sound. So it could be a crowd, it could be a workshop, it could even be an owl, dog barking, cats meow, phone ringing. It's all those. Now you have 28 sounds on that decoder, which you can overlay.
Okay.
You can have 3, another 3, and another 3. And you can have all that cacophony going on. Or you can just say, right, I just want it to be a station sound. You can have just a station sound running. So
compact, neat little unit. So 8-pin DCC plug there. You can see the speakers flat underneath. And then, of course, you've got the decoder board on top. And it's not rocket science. I mean, you could buy that and stick it on your track. You've got the Hornby system, and away you go. You've got sound on your layout.
And see, that's the beauty with DCC. Your whole track is live. So I can pick that up, put it anywhere on my siding, or even put it behind a train, if you like. And you've got that sound.
You could park it by a field of cows, and you could have all the sounds required for it.
That's it. And that's £40.
So there you go, that's a brief overview of the DCC system from Hornby. And if you visit your local model shop, you'll be able to find all of these items on the shelves. Well, we've had a great day here today at Great Eastern Models in Norwich, and so on that note, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from them.
Bye! Great Eastern Models' next event will be its Scenery Day on May the 3rd.
Today we're looking at Waltham Wharf with builder Steve Bell. I'm coming at this with a bit with my garden rail hat on because this is an unusual for me, unusual for model railways, scale gauge combination.
It is, yes. There's as 60mm is generally 32mm gauge, and it's got a very much a garden railway bias. It was nice to sort of use the scale, which I've been modelling for best part of 45 years now, but use it and take it from the model railway approach as opposed to the garden railway approach.
So this is 16mm scale, but it's not running on 32mm track.
No, it's 24mm gauge to represent 18-inch gauge.
Right.
You tend to find bringing the gauge in a bit gives you that little bit more space to do things with.
But come on, what inspired you to start with I don't think I've seen any other 18-inch gauge or many other 18-inch gauge railways done in this sort of scale.
No, it's actually there's a small group of us sort of dabbling in it, but it all started with this loco here. Many years ago bought a copy of the Industrial Railway Record that had an article on the Waltham Abbey Railway with the drawing of that loco.
And what is the loco?
It's a Ruston Proctor from 1917, and basically I started to build it and thought I'll do it 24mm gauge, the gauge it should be. And then I built the loco. In fact, I actually built two, and then I decided I need somewhere to run it, hence the layout.
Hence the layout. Okay, now tell us a bit about the layout itself. It's Waltham Wharf. We have a wharf with a very unusual boat in. What's the prototype? Right,
the prototype layout is actually influenced by Waltham Abbey Gunpowder Works, which is where these locos originally ran. Before the railway was built, they used a canal system to transport the ingredients around the site.
These are the explosive ingredients?
Yes, they're the gunpowder and etc. And during the First World War, with the increased demand for explosives, they laid the 18-inch gauge railway, but they still use the waterways as well. So this represents an interchange between the railway and the waterway.
Fantastic. Now we're looking at. I mean, it's not a big layout, is it? I mean, we're what, 9 foot long for the scenic section?
Yes, yeah, about that. Yeah.
Plus a small fiddly yard on the end.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is large-scale railways done in a very small space. I mean, a space that we would normally associate with double or even N gauge.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I live in a very small house, so obviously I'm restricted to space.
But what you've done is you've really gone for the detail. I think that's what makes this such an unusual layout, in that we don't see this level of detail, certainly in the garden, because obviously plants and slugs and stuff get in the way. So, I mean, you must have had to build absolutely everything, I would imagine.
Oh yes.
Starting with the track then. I mean, how's the track done? Because I mean, you can't buy the Pico off the shelf or something like that. Well,
actually, it is Pico. The rails, the Pico O-gauge flat bottom rail, I use Pico track spikes. The sleepers I've got from a Doll's House supplier. It's the wooden flooring they sell in sheets. You rip the backing paper off, cut them to length.
You've had to deal with the textures, and we've got this here. What is it, and how have you made it?
It's represented what they call a traverse wall, which is a blast wall. So if there's an explosion, it guides the explosion in a direction instead of spreading across the site.
Oh, handy.
You go to a munitions depot or a gunpowder works, they're all over the place protecting buildings.
But it's a big lump.
Yes.
What's it made from?
Surface finishes, it is actual concrete. But
it is actual real concrete.
Yes,
there,
but what it is, it's covering a plywood carcass.
Which explains how it was light enough to carry in when we had to bring it in this morning.
Yeah, the plywood's painted a concrete colour, then dipped in a bag of concrete. And then you brush off the surplus, and if you don't like it, you scrape it off and do it again. It doesn't work every time, but you've got to experiment with it.
What about the brick buildings as well? I'm guessing there's not a sort of sheet of brick plasticard.
No, the little building on the end, the transformer house, is actually individual brick slips, which is a term used in the Doll's House business for very thin slivers of brick, which are then glued to a a wooden box.
Right, so you've accurately had to sit there laboriously gluing little bits of brick to the
there was about
building.
3 weeks of evenings doing that.
The other thing, obviously, everybody's going to be looking at is the rolling stock. Scratch built, kit built?
Everything's scratch built.
Everything is scratch built?
Yes. Again, because the choice of the gauge, the rolling stock is fairly unique. The particular vehicle is from Waltham Abbey itself.
I was going to say, it's a very odd looking vehicle.
It is, yeah. It's designed for carrying cordite trays, which are these trays here.
Oh right, okay. So these trays here, which appear to be made of wood.
Yes.
So
yes.
You've made them like the real thing.
Yeah, I can't work in plastic. I struggle with plastic, so everything's got to be wood or metal.
So we've got the cordite trays in there, and all the locos. They're presumably metal as well.
Yes, yeah.
Running on say standard 2-row chassis, which is
The motors and gearboxes are branch lines, multi-boxes with a Mashima motor with a big flywheel.
The sort of thing you could actually do in 4mm scale.
Yes,
or 7mm scale.
yeah. There's nothing special about them at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And they run nicely, and again, small space, so they've got to run slowly.
Yes.
To finish off, though, really the area I've got to ask is the boat. That is a very strange looking boat.
Yes.
I'm guessing it must be based on a prototype.
It's a model of the one that's preserved at Waltham Abbey. It was basically a gunpowder boat for carrying the stuff around the site.
Amazing. Well, I mean, I'm looking around the layout, and I'm just seeing lots of scenic stuff as well. You are guessing, are we looking at flock powders and the same things you'd use in 4mm scales?
It's the sort of normal woodland scenics, rough turf.
What about the flowers? Come on, the flowers are really eye-catching.
Those from the Britain's Garden series, which was very popular in the late 60s, early 70s.
The 1/32 figures.
Yes.
You had farmers and zookeepers
but
and all that sort of thing.
They did a complete range of garden series. Unfortunately, it's highly collectible now, so it fetches a fair price. But occasionally you come across the odd bits and pieces at swap meets.
Lovely.
So if you see them, you buy them.
Right. Okay. And the layout itself, does it operate to a sequence, or do you just move stuff around to suit?
I just run trains up and down, keep something moving all the time, which it shows is what people want to see.
They want to see plenty of movement.
Yeah.
Well, it's an amazing model. I say it's interesting from my point of view to look at a large scale done as a railway model rather than trundling through the garden. Do you have a garden railway as well?
Yes.
So you do like working in the larger scales.
I've been doing 60mm for over 40 years now, and that's the scale that suits me.
Brilliant. How long did the layout itself take to build, roughly?
This is probably about 5 years' work, with all the other activities taken into account.
Brilliant. Okay, so right, we'll run some trains. Thank you very much for your time.
More than welcome.
And on that note, that's all we've got time for this month, but don't miss Phil Parker's tour of the London Model Engineering Exhibition in the Extras menu. Until next month, happy modelling.